breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty. Mornings on 1017 FM and 710 KEEL.
.1017 FM 710 KEEL. Mike and McCarty on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker Hotline. Caddo Parish School Board Attorney Reg Abrams joining us. Reg, good morning. Thanks for taking time to talk with us this morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
We're doing very well. Kind of a touchy subject going on right now. The Caddo Parish School Board has decided to interview one candidate as an attorney, as their representative. Has everything been followed according to law and everything has been above board and going as planned?
Yes.
No deviation from what the process was laid out to be and how you advised them?
The policy in and of itself, the board decided that it was going to have the consultants come in. The consultants then had the board decide the members themselves determine the persons that they would like to interview. Ultimately, one person ended up with a higher number of score, and then there was actually a one person, Mr. Burton, ended up with a much higher score than the others, and it was within the option of the board as to whether or not how many they wanted to interview. The board never made a decision that it was going to interview 1, 2, or 3. It was basically left up to the board, and a motion was made to only interview one person, which motion carried by 7-5.
And that vote was completely legal? That motion was completely legal? There was no inappropriateness with that?
The motion was legal.
Okay.
I do not know of anything that was inappropriate about them making the motion whatsoever.
Now, big crowd showed up this week, urging the board to interview other candidates. Some have even claimed, now they're backpedaling now, but some had even claimed they may hold their children out of school unless the board decides to change the process. What do you say as the lawyer about parents that would hold their kids out of school as a protest option?
That would violate state law and school board policy.
So could they face legal action themselves, as in police taking them to jail?
Well, no, not necessarily because of that. The issue would be determined based upon whether or not they cause their child to be truant somewhere down the road. But the actual holding them out, the main rules are that you have to have specific absences that can be excused, and those ones would fall under Title 17:226, and that one gives you exemptions from compulsory attendance. And the majority of those deal with whether or not you're mentally, physically, or emotionally incapacitated to perform school duties. So you have to have a doctor come in and authorize that as to whether or not your child is able to be away from school. Now, there are other exceptions that are allowed, and that is when you have a serious illness in your family, which also would require that you provide documentation to prove that. But the statute is very specific as to what can occur. But you have to realize being truant is something that, it takes several days in order for that to occur. Students can have absences, but those absences would be unexcused. But it is, once you get to becoming truant, that's when the problem comes in as to the school system in and of itself deciding that it was going to go in and bring charges to show that the child was actually truant. And if someone decides that they are going to start holding their child at school and out of school and make certain that they are not being educated, that's a different issue. That is one, you're supposed to make certain that your child goes to school. And I do not know what the DA would do or anything as far as deciding whether or not someone was deliberately not allowing their child to become educated, because there is a fundamental right to go to school and also a fundamental right that this child also that the child also receive education and that they attend school. Most of the penalties, though, are civil penalties when it comes down to truancy.
Could we're talking to Reg Abrams, the attorney for the Caddo School Board. This is not your first rodeo, by the way. You've been the board attorney since you were 2, I think. But not quite, huh?
Not quite.
I can withdraw my child from school and put them in a private school, homeschool them. That would be legal, correct?
Yes.
Can you do it in the middle of the school year? I could start it tomorrow. Monday morning, I could say, my child is now homeschooled and then face no charges.
Yes, but you definitely have to make certain that you go to the school and make sure all of their records are transferred and all of that, make sure that is done appropriately. Now, homeschooling, I'm not exactly sure how you go through the process in order to make that happen. Now, our attendance office would know that, but yes, that is something that can be done.
What about the folks that are protesting? What is your message to them? There's a better way to do that rather than to withhold your child from school, right?
Well, I'm the attorney for the school system, and their decision as to whether they're going to protest or not, that's their decision. I don't give them opinions as to what's a better method of doing something, as far as that's concerned. I certainly would hope that they would have their children come to school so they could be educated. Any day they're missing school, they're actually getting behind, and education is most important. So personally, my opinion would be that the students should come to school and that the parents, express the way they feel, but don't allow their students to not be in school in the classroom being educated.
But if somebody decides to homeschool, I mean, that's a pretty in-depth process, and there is a set curriculum they still need to follow. So they would need to prepare and make sure they have all the materials.
That's correct, and it's going to take a little bit of time to get that, I'm sure, but I know now things are done electronically. But that is certainly an option that parents have, but recognize also that if the parents, in order that it be promoted, there are rules also that when you get ready to go back into school, I believe they have to have testing in different ways of making certain that they are now up to level in order to move on, like the middle school or high school at different levels since they've been homeschooled.
Reg Abrams, school board attorney, has there been any discussion since the past meeting about having a special meeting and possibly expanding the interviews? Has there been some talk about that? Have any board members asked you about possibly doing that?
The issues that I heard were those that were stated in open session when there was some discussion going around during that particular meeting, but I have not heard anything about having any type of meeting like that as far as having a special meeting in order to open the process, anything like that.
Reg Abrams, Caddo Parish School Board attorney, can you hold with us through the break?
How long would that be?
Just a couple minutes.
Okay.
All right, cool. Thanks.
We'll be right back. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Back with more of Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Caddo Parish School Board attorney Reg Abrams on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker Hotline. Reg, thank you so much for holding on with us. We know there were 6 candidates that were put forth by the company that was hired to screen all the candidates. We're down to 1. Could the school board, could they say, okay, we're going to add some more candidates? Is that a possibility at this point?
Well, it's up to the board to decide what it wants to do. Mm-hmm. I have the board can do whatever it would like to do as far as deciding until it makes the ultimate decision as to what they who they want to hire or whatever. So that's up to the board.
The interview of Keith Burton is the 11th. It's going to be out in the open. This is a little bit different from the way they've handled it before, I believe. You have kind of given them a roadmap of questions you can and can't ask because this is an HR deal, right?
Pardon?
This is an HR deal. There are some things you can't ask a job applicant these days, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Have you given
this meeting also, from what I understand, it will probably end up being an executive session like it always has been.
They've changed it then.
Well, basically what it amounts to is that there could be a motion for it to be one that would be in the executive session. So, and yes, initially it was a long time ago, there was discussion about whether it would be open or not. And basically I initially said that the law had changed on that issue, and I did review what I thought had changed, but the law does not prohibit you from having that type of meeting within the executive session.
So folks may not get to see the interview with Keith Burton then?
Correct. If the board decides to go into an executive session, it would not be. It will be just like any other interview, anywhere you have an interview.
So that would be a change from what we've been hearing over the past few weeks. That would be a deviation, correct?
Yes, it would be.
And it would be completely legal based on your opinion?
Yes.
Okay.
So the public wouldn't be able to, even if it weren't an executive session, the public wouldn't be able to ask Keith Burton questions during the interview anyway, would they?
No, absolutely not.
Right.
What are some things, and I know you've helped guide them, what are some things that are off limits that we're not going to be able to ask Keith Burton?
Basically, there are questions that deal with race and, gender, the things that are off limits, you cannot ask those particular questions. But basically the questions are going to be about performance and what he can and cannot do. But those are the main type questions that you would have to have in order for it to be appropriate.
So you couldn't ask him Saints, Cowboys?
No. Yeah, probably not.
Reg, once they do the interview with Keith, at that point, is it too late to do interviews with any others that have made the finalist list?
I don't know whether it would be or not. I don't think it would be as far as that's concerned. I don't know whether that is even doable, for any other person that was an applicant.
But if they were to add other interviews, they'd have to vote on that in a meeting, give notice of that meeting. Am I right?
Correct.
Okay.
So the bottom line is at this point, Reg Abrams with the Caddo Parish School Board, as of today, everything has been legal. People may not like the decision, but the decision was made through the process, and it was above board and done correctly.
It was done exactly the way it was planned to be done. It was in an open session, and the board basically followed the process. They could have picked 2 candidates or 3 candidates or all candidates, but there was a motion that was by a majority of those present and voting that basically voted to only interview 1 candidate, which is the prerogative of the board, which is a legal motion.
Let me ask you a silly question, Reg, before we let you go. I know you got a lot of work to do. Could Keith Burton himself say, I don't want my interview open to the public. I don't want this open to the public. I want this in a closed session. Can't he opt for that?
No. Basically what it amounts to, Mr. Burton can say, the board can decide it's going to be interviewed in a closed session. He has an option to say, I want it to be in an open session. You see what I mean?
Gotcha. Okay.
That's the way the rule reads. It basically, the board can go in and say, I'm going to have it. You give notice that you're going to have a meeting and that meeting has potential of going into an executive session. And the person who you're going to talk with has the option of saying they want it to be an open.
Okay. So even if they vote to close it, Keith could stand there at the microphone and say, I would rather y'all keep this open.
Yes.
Do they have to do that then?
Well, I've never seen that necessary. I think the answer is yes, but I'll have to look at that. It's been a while. I haven't had that happen in a while.
Okay,
well,
gotcha.
They do it sometimes. That has occurred during when we have a hearing that is one that's in, like dealing with when you get ready to dismiss someone, a tenure type hearing, they can request that. And that, yes, so it can be done, and they can force it to be an open session. So I'd say yes.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your time. We know you're busy and got to get back to it, but thanks for clearing a lot of this up for us.
All righty.
Thank you so much.
Reggie Adams, Cattle Parish School Board Attorney, Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Back to the show with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
I need to throw myself on the mercy of the court for a moment, if you don't mind, because I am really a little bit miffed today. Told y'all Friday, got the dog, Bo, a nice, beautiful orthopedic bed, because all his scungy bed stuff was just nasty and torn up.
Nobody likes scungy bed stuff.
Yeah, so he wouldn't go get on the new orthopedic bed in his kennel, which I leave the kennel open. He can come and go as he pleases.
Right.
And so I asked his daddy, my son, I said, what's the secret to get him to go in there and use that new orthopedic bed? And he was like, y'all, put a toy that he likes, or put, a piece of clothing from yours or mine in there.
Right.
And, which I did. And then I started putting his treats. When it was time for him to get a treat, I put the treat in there. Well, I come out Sunday morning, and he had started going into the kennel. He started using it. And I was like, oh, it's working. The treats are working.
Nice.
Sunday morning, I wake up and I go out to let him outside to go do his business and all that. And the whole top cover of this brand new orthopedic bed. Stop laughing, Ruben.
Oh, no.
Is torn to shreds.
Oh, my gosh.
Is he chewing it? Is he scratching it?
Wasn't cheap, was it?
It wasn't cheap. It's like he doesn't like it unless it's scrungy. So he ripped it into little shreds, the whole middle part of the bed.
Oh, my
where
gosh.
it's like a mattress cover on it, that, I guess. So now you can see the white mattress underneath. He's torn the gray covering all up, little shreds all in there. And I'm looking at him like, I'm about to kill you, dog. You just tore It was in there for 3 days.
But is he using it?
He's using it.
He's using it now.
He's going in there now.
He made his bed. He can lay in it.
I'm like, why? How idiotic is that?
Is it lay in it or lie in it?
I don't know.
I don't know. He's got his dumb butt on it. What did he do that for?
He wanted to be comfy.
How can you be comfy with a scungy? Anyway. It's illegal to kill him, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is? Okay, I get in trouble?
Yeah, you'll definitely get in
I
trouble.
don't get him.
Don't even say that.
I don't understand it. He's comfy. He's using his bed. Now I got to go pick up shreds every other day, shreds that he's chewed up. Or
get like a cover for it.
Maybe.
Why didn't you tell me that Friday?
Yeah.
It'd have to be a leather cover because he's going to chew through anything.
That wouldn't be very...
Oh, gosh. Anyway, he's in the kennel. He's on the orthopedic bed, which is now scrungy.
Is it? Did he tear up like the memory foam and everything?
No, the memory foam still looks good, but he's torn up the covering.
I'd get a cover for it. I'd get a cover.
Okay, I'm going to have to go cover it with something. Yeah. I don't know. God, I'm going to kill him.
Our dogs are great.
Boy, dogs.
Yeah, they're great.
Dogs are
great.
the best. Until they're not.
Thanks. Thanks for all y'all's advice.
Man. We had an interesting moment on Saturday. I'll tell you about it. It was kind of cool.
All right.
I'll tell you about coming up after the break. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty.
Now more breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Well, of course, big weekend. College football officially got underway. I know there were games last week. I know there were games before, but they didn't count. Northeast Wesleyan University and
Well, USC counted. Yeah.
Well,
Ugly.
yeah.
Ugly.
I mean, week before. This was this NFL kick. It was the official big weekend for football. Mm-hmm. So we're watching LSU Saturday night. Have more trouble with Nicholls State than I really would have cared to admit.
They got more yards rushing than we did. How?
So we're sitting in the living room, and we hear, and Dina goes, "Do you hear drums?" This is Saturday night. On Friday night, we can hear Captain Shreve Stadium, Lee Hedges. We can hear it from our house.
Are you serious?
It's really cool, especially if you go in the backyard, you can hear,
Wow.
And I love that. You can hear.
Well, I hear Mesmer. Yeah.
And so, and I said, I do. So I muted the TV and I go out onto the front porch, and it's not coming. Our house faces north. Our house faces north. So Lee Hedges would be south of us, which is where you can hear on Friday nights. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, this is Saturday and this is coming from the north. I said, I said, Bird doesn't have a stadium. They don't play home games at Bird. They have a beautiful practice facility, but they don't have and I'm like, what in the world? And then it dawned on me. Centenary.
Sure was.
Centenary's first home game was Saturday.
Yeah.
And then I thought, do they have a marching band now?
The Parkway Band was playing.
Thank you. Because I told Dina, I said, do they have a marching band, or did maybe Bird, come and play for them?
I was told that a friend of mine's kid plays in the Parkway marching band, and they came. Okay. There may have been others, but I know Parkway was there. I don't know if there were other marching bands, but Parkway was one that was there.
So we could hear the band
cool.
from our house in
Sell
Broadmoor.
Out at the stadium.
Was it?
First game back. Yeah, it was a big deal.
Oh, I love that.
It was a big deal. And now they didn't win the game, but that's okay. To have it back, to have football back.
And that's the first thing Dina said when I came back in. I went, it's Centenary. That's their first game. And then we could, she's like, we got to go. We got to go to a game.
I know.
I said, definitely. So I'm going to look up their schedule and find out.
It's exciting. And if you don't, I know you don't remember because you weren't around back then, but some 80 years ago, Centenary was a powerhouse.
They were national champions.
Beat LSU. They've beaten Notre Dame. Yes. It was, they used to have a monster program, and they're back. It's exciting.
Now, they're not Division I.
No.
But it's college football in Shreveport.
Yes.
That's so
Real
cool.
live college football right here with the marching bands. I guess they're going to possibly rotate marching bands that come play. The place was packed. The mayor was there. The cheerleaders. They had the whole shebang.
Oh, I hate that I missed it.
It was big.
It just got away from me. We had kind of a busy weekend anyway.
Greg Adams was putting everything on our Facebook page. So on the KEEL Facebook page, you can see all the pictures and all the fun that was had at the big Centenary game. It was just exciting, big time.
So. That was really cool to see to hear that. So I'm gonna have to look up their schedule
and get your
booty in. They played Hendricks on the 14th. They're going to Texas Lutheran. I guess they'll be back on
the 14th. Is this weekend?
Yes,
that's here.
No, at Texas Lutheran.
Okay.
And then Austin is coming here. Looks like.
Oh, sweet.
On the 21st.
Oh, that'll be cool.
So, yeah.
Take in a Centenary game. It's historic. It really is.
That's
exciting.
Really cool.
Very, very exciting.
101.7 FM. Gosh, time got away from us. 710 KEEL.
Big stories of the day with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
A message on the Shreveport Security Systems message board. Is it accurate to say the last time Centenary played football was leather helmets with no face masks.
Wow.
Might be.
Wow.
Might be.
That's crazy. Oh, man.
Definitely going. I've got a centenary jersey.
Do you?
Yes.
Oh, man.
That from the new season, so I'm excited.
That is exciting. That is, to have that back in the city. And the field, I'm told, is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it is. Now, I have been out there.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, I bet it. I'm going to be at Centenary. The Book Bazaar is this weekend. So I'm going to be out there this Friday. Come out and see me, by the way, 3 to 5. If you've never been to the Book Bazaar.
Oh, my gosh.
And you love books, wow.
Now, it's not in the Book Bazaar building there on Kings Highway, is it? Where's the actual Book Bazaar?
It's across the street in what would be the Field House. I forget the name of the building.
Oh, okay.
Somebody shoot me a text. But, yeah, they have, it used to be in the Gold Dome. It's not in there anymore. It's across the street.
Okay.
And you'll find it. They'll have signs out. But it's, Centenary is a hopping place these days. And
I'm so
a lot of attention on
news.
big deal with the football team. And, how exciting is that? Now, they didn't win. That's all right. We don't really care about that. We care that
it's their first year back. So, they'll get it. They'll get it together.
And they had, star-studded. The mayor showed up. Lots of local dignitaries were there. It was a big deal. And it's thrilling to have them back.
That's fun.
It really is.
Yeah, we had breakfast. I love this little tradition that we've got going with my mom and my sister, and we'll go meet at Strawn's, usually on Kings Highway. Sometimes we'll go to IHOP out on Uri or something. But I think a couple weeks ago, we were there, and all the kids were moving in.
Oh, nice.
All the parents and kids were hauling stuff into the, I think that's Klein right there across from Kings Highway. It was fun. It was
such
fun
a
to
tradition.
watch that. Yeah.
And the mamas are crying. Some of the daddies are crying too. They try to cry after they walk away.
I didn't.
You didn't?
We dropped off Micah. No, I didn't.
You were like, good riddance? Get out of here?
No, not at all.
I'm joking.
When my son left, for Northwestern, we were standing on the board. Bye.
Bye.
Right. If you get hurt, But,
have fun.
Yeah, and I think I may have told you, when we dropped Micah off at Auburn, and she was in the athletic dorms, and it was just freaking Disney World. I mean, it wasn't real college.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just, Micah, you have no idea. Her books were already there.
Oh,
she was already
You're set
enrolled
to
in
go.
classes. They were, they have advisors. They have athletic support, whatever, that do all that. And so I thought this is the best position she could be in.
Absolutely.
And of course, my wife cried the whole 7-hour drive back home. And it didn't hit me until like a couple weeks later.
When you realize.
Yeah. I was coming up Airline Drive and drove past, someplace where we used to stop all the time.
Oh. And then you boo-hooed.
I lost it.
Oh, God, that's crazy. That's crazy. Well, I'm excited for Centenary and everybody involved with the program and the local community. Big time hats off for showing up,
That's great.
Just incredible stuff.
How much fun.
Yeah, we got to talk about the school board when we get back after 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Because they have changed their plans from what they said all along, and people are not real thrilled.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that at about 7:10.
101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty. .101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, and on the free KEEL app. That's how you get in touch with us, by the way, on the Shreveport Security Systems message board, which Connie said the Book Bazaar is at the fitness center across the street from Strawn's.
Good. That's going to be opening up Friday, runs through the weekend. It's a huge event. So I'll be out there Friday afternoon. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Let's catch everybody up with the school board mess. I say mess. Procedure. Let's put it like that. School board voted a couple of weeks ago, 7-5, to interview only one of the 6 candidates. That would be Keith Burton. who's currently deputy superintendent. in Caddo Parish.
Because in a grading system, he scored the highest, almost or doubled the next closest candidate, and as all the school board members graded all the candidates.
In an anonymous.
Exactly,
You were each
right.
given a sheet. You were asked to score them from a 1 to 6. He scored the highest by far. 8 school board members had him number 1. It looked like the handwriting was on the wall. He was going to be the guy they wanted.
And then after that assessment, Christine Tharp told us, because she's the one that made the motion, to just interview the one candidate. Why fly these other people in? Why pay for all these expenses when this, Keith Burton scored so high? This is apparently the overall majority.
The one that the folks wanted, and they voted 7-5 to interview just him. Now, there have been complaints that they didn't follow the process and that they deviated from the process, that they were going to interview 2 or 3 other candidates. Everybody in this whole circle has told us they never promised to interview 2 or 3. They never said a number about how many they were going to interview. That was never part of the process. They did say that the interviews would be open to the public. That's what Reg Abrams told us. He thought the law required the process that interview to be open. He then went back and researched it and said, no, it does not have to be open, and it's probably better if it's closed because it is an employee interview. And so the board on Friday sent out a notice saying they were going to have their meeting on September 11th, 9 a.m., and they were going to go into executive session to interview Keith Burton.
But Reg Abrams, who is the attorney for the Caddo Parish School Board, did tell us last week everything was above board. Everything followed protocol.
Yep.
Everything followed the legal requirements set forth.
Right.
Everything was good.
This was a change, though. This was the only change from how it was previously announced that this interview would be in the public. And I was curious about it, too, because I've been doing this a while, too, and all the previous interviews had been in private. They'd done them all in private before, and I was like, I wonder how they're going to do this in public like this. Now, he did tell us, if you recall Friday, that Keith Burton could request that it be open. He could say to the board, I would like my interview to be open to the public. And then the board could decide whether they were going to do that or not. And to which I asked Keith Burton about that, and he said, and I'm quoting, doesn't say anything about off the record, so I'm going to read it to you, because he's going to do an interview with us eventually. He just doesn't want to do it before the interview, before any decision's made.
Right.
But he did tell me the board will determine the process by which I will be interviewed, and I will defer to them for that process. I am grateful for the opportunity to be considered and look forward to sharing my vision for this district. So he's not going to request it be open. So they're going to move forward with a closed session on Wednesday. Now, I did note on the agenda, there is a note before they go into executive session for public comments. So I would anticipate some of the same folks will show up and want to give their 3 minutes comments. It could be a big crowd. I don't know.
And this is 9 a.m.
9 a.m. Wednesday morning, at the school board office on Midway. So, we'll be watching. I'm sure they'll stream it until they go into executive session, and then they turn off the stream. And my question is, when they come back out of executive session, do you think they'll offer him the job at that point? Or will they wait and do it at another meeting? There's nothing on the agenda saying, a decision about a superintendent. There's nothing on there that says, conclusion about what we do now.
Right.
It's just interview him and then adjourn. So I don't know if something else had to be on there. What do you think? I don't know.
I would think they would want to get this process finalized as quickly as possible and move forward, and let's get the business of educating our children underway. The school year is already in session. We are without a superintendent. I would think, I don't know protocol, you've been doing this longer than I have, but my impression is they would want to get this settled and let's get going.
But would you think there'd have to be an item on the agenda to begin negotiate? You know what I mean? Because I would have probably put that on the agenda. just to have it there just in case.
Right.
Otherwise, they have to have another special meeting, which they probably will hold another special meeting and say, begin the contract negotiations.
But, I mean, isn't there a package in place?
A package, you mean for hiring him?
Right. Yeah. Salary and benefit, that kind of thing.
Yeah, they have kind of an overall, but they'd have to say, what kind of car allowance does he get? All the stuff, all the little things that have to go into that. What kind of raise? How long is the contract? Is it 3? Is it 4 years? What are we going to agree to? I just think they're going to have an agenda item for that to move forward. Now, could there be some action at this meeting to interview other candidates? I don't think that's even possible. I don't think it was not put on the agenda. It's not part of the agenda. Yeah. It would have to come from, one of the board members who wants to change the process. I just don't understand that. But I expect people from the public to get up and speak out before they go into executive session, and then the Burton interview. And we won't be privy to that. And I know Reg Abrams was putting together the questions the board members would be allowed to ask, because some things are off limits. I mean, you can't ask certain questions during an interview. HR rules would apply. So, but I'm sure he can answer, what is your vision for the system?
Sure.
What, do you have any changes you plan to make? Those kinds of things. So we'll see. And I would love to know, will we ever get to see his answers to any of those questions? I highly doubt it, but...
Well, and questions about, we've got failing schools. Mm-hmm. What are your plans to address that?
Right.
Are you making personnel changes? Are you instituting, curriculum changes?
Yes.
Do
we need to close more schools? Does Caddo Parish need to close more schools? And that is a topic that we have to have a hard conversation about, because when we do close more schools, they're typically inner city schools. Those are the ones with the lowest population numbers. And those are typically the ones that are performing the poorest. And we've got to do better by those kids. Moving them, 10 miles away, 15 miles away, whatever it is that better for them? That's a big debate.
Yeah.
Parents would say, I don't know. I don't know that I can handle all that. But, it's a 1 hour on the bus each way for my kid. I'm not happy about that, but are they getting a better education? You got to weigh it. What's better?
That's Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. Mm-hmm. And we will, of course, stay on top of that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
What's the weather doing? Temperatures are definitely cooler this morning. What a weekend.
Yep, and we got
Absolutely
a storm
beautiful,
brewing.
But we got weather coming in. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk with Ken Boone from the Weather Channel coming up at 7:40. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty.
Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Seven FM, 710 KEEL.
I had a moment this weekend, Mikey Poo.
A moment?
Yeah. Did I just call you Mikey Poo? I'm sorry.
That's quite all right. I've been called worse, I promise you.
I don't think folks in our area really realize the significance of Mike Johnson.
I think you're right, because
Speaker of the House.
Yes, I think you're right.
And I had a moment. I had something personal going on that I needed to ask him about, and I texted him. And I thought, now he's very, very busy, and he has a couple of phones.
Right, yes.
He's given me his super secret, I Spy phone number. And so I texted him on the...
I have it, too.
I texted him on the super secret I Spy phone number, and I thought, well, it's still going to be a minute before I hear back from him. And it was a little bit. But Saturday morning at about 5 o'clock our time, I got a text back with him showing me, kind of his schedule I'm looking at a date that I wanted to see if he was available. And I got a schedule back from him with what his schedule looks like. He sent me kind of his schedule of when he's going to be in D.C., when he's going to be in Louisiana, that kind of thing. And And then we just start texting.
Okay. Just stop for just a moment. Aaron, did you ever, in your wildest dreams, ever think you're going to be texting with the Speaker of the House?
What did I just tell you, Ruben?
I must have been out of the room.
Yes.
I was getting my coffee.
What did I just tell you, Ruben?
Hilarious. Yes. Yeah.
Was it the same thing that I just said?
Pretty much the same thing.
Did I ever think I'd be texting the Speaker of the freaking House
Right. I know.
on
Saturday morning.
at 5 a.m.?
Or any time,
Yes,
frankly.
or any time. And I thought, how bizarre is this? And it was back and forth. We talked a little bit about, and he said what he hates about his job is that if he goes anywhere now, it's an entourage.
Right.
He comes with Secret Service. He's got to be front and center. And he said, I loathe that aspect of the job. And I said, yep, you can't blend in anymore. And then I texted him, and I'll tell my story real quick. I said, you could never be on my kickball team anymore. And he laughed because he knows the story. Several years ago, I was joking about how hot I thought Congressman Garrett Graves was. Mm-hmm. And, and I guess Robert said, well, you don't think Mike... I said, Mike's cute, but Mike's the kind of guy you want on your kickball team. Garrett Graves is the guy you want on your calendar, with his shirt off.
Oh, God.
Well, Mike was listening.
Of course he was.
And Mike texts me, kickball team?
That's all I am.
I'm just on your kickball team? And so we have a running joke about how Mike, so we joked again and he laughed. And he can be on my calendar.
He's elevated.
He's
Yeah.
on the calendar now. And I still think Garrett Graves is very gorgeous. But Mike is really getting handsome as he ages. He's really getting, I'm not making this. This is silly. If I was talking about a female House Speaker and I was talking, handsome, I'd be so sexist.
But
so
I
that's
think
terrible.
it's a general consensus. I think most people would agree, as a general rule, not every, men get better looking as they age.
Yeah, y'all are blessed.
Don't you think?
Y'all are blessed. Yeah.
Isn't that kind of a natural thing?
It is, but I'm still stunned that I'm sitting here on Saturday morning texting with the freaking Speaker of the House.
I know.
And we're joking about kickball teams. How bizarre is this?
What
a weird world.
I've had that feeling so many times since starting to do this show. Just being if you had asked 17-year-old me the reason I would be on a first name basis with the sheriff, it would have been a completely different reason.
Oh yeah, can you loosen these cuffs up? Right. They're hurting. Yeah,
you wouldn't want
you loosen my cuffs, please?
Yeah. You wouldn't want the sheriff to know your first name back in the day.
Yeah,
would
no
you?
Kidding.
You don't want him to know I exist.
Oh man, is that tropical storm going to impact us, guys?
I'm looking at different. I see different models.
Okay.
But the most part, I think it's saying it's going to go more east of us.
Okay, we got to find out.
Ken Boone with the Weather Channel going to let us know that coming up. Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
To the show with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
By the way, a new documentary dropped this weekend on Max, HBO.
Okay. On
Max.
what? About what?
David Chase, the creator of Sopranos.
Oh.
And it was all behind the scenes stuff, and they went through, and there was a lot of behind the scenes footage from James Gandolfini's funeral.
Wow. Did you watch it yet?
Absolutely.
I haven't.
It's 2 episodes.
Okay.
About an hour and a half each. Mm-hmm. Very, very interesting. Of course, I've gone through Sopranos 4 or 5 times. So to see the thought process of it jacked James Gandolfini up.
Really?
Because if you watch that show objectively, he's a hideous, despicable character.
Oh, yeah.
There's very little redeeming about Tony Soprano.
Mm-hmm. True. Very true.
And to see, and they talked about James couldn't be more opposite than, Jim. They, couldn't be more opposite from Tony Soprano. But he had to go to very dark places. And David Chase made the comment, it might have been disturbing that there might have been more Tony in Jim than he wanted to admit.
Ooh,
it was very interesting. Very interesting.
I'll have to check it out.
So that was another thing that from this weekend.
Definitely. Tigers don't look real good. Play South Carolina this weekend.
Yeah. SEC play opens up this weekend.
It's 11 o'clock game, just FYI.
Tropical storm on the way into the Arklatex. How is it going to affect our weather in Shreveport, Bossier? We'll find out with Ken Boone, the Weather Channel, next. Mike and McCarty, 1017 FM, 710keel.com.
Now, breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 1017 FM and 710 Keel.
Tropical storm moving up through parts of Texas and Louisiana. It looks to me like if you look at some of these models, it's going to be east of us, but we've got Ken Boone with the Weather Channel on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker hotline. Ken, good morning. Look, are we going to be out of the danger zone in the Shreveport-Bossier area?
Well, there's still a little bit of uncertainty. Really, the center of this system really hasn't defined yet. And so once we get that defined center, it gets upgraded to a tropical storm, we'll get a little bit more handle, or get a little bit more certainty with the forecast track. But you're right. The trend has been, the models are trending to keep it a little bit further towards the east, which would mean, yes, east of the Shreveport area. So right now, the thinking is it would be east, just kind of on the periphery edge, to see some outer bands with some showers and storms that could move through. That's the current thinking now. But again, still a bit of uncertainty here because as it gets that better, well-defined center, we'll start to get a better idea of kind of more of a correct track with this system.
Landfall, Texas, Louisiana, halfway between the two. What are we looking at right now?
Right now, the thinking is more Louisiana than the upper Texas coast. But again, like I said, until it gets that well-defined center and we get a good grip on, exactly, the makeup of the storm, there's still a bit of a question there. So, I'd be concerned anywhere from the upper Texas coast all the way along the southern Louisiana coast. But the trend with the models has been to push it more further towards the east, so more of a Louisiana coastal landfall. But again, I want to stress there's still some uncertainty here. The storm has to develop. There's a trough moving in from the west that's going to kind of pick it up and kind of move it more north and northeasterly. That's going to happen during the day Tuesday. So all that has to come together before we get a really good idea of exactly where landfall would be.
And when are you expecting landfall? Is that going to be middle of the week, Wednesday or so?
Yeah, it looks like late Wednesday, possibly even into early Thursday, depending on how far east, the storm. The further east the storm works, the later in the week the landfall would be. If it doesn't get more of a northeastward turn, if that trough doesn't pick it up and it's more of a westward landfall, it would be a little bit earlier, maybe earlier on, during the day on Wednesday. So that's kind of what we're looking. But right now, it looks like late Wednesday into early Thursday.
And it looks like it'll be a Cat 1 hurricane at that time, or could be. Is that what we're looking at so far?
That is true. Current forecast from the Hurricane Center does have it strengthening to a Cat 1 hurricane before it would make landfall.
And describe what a Cat 1 is.
Cat 1 is when your winds get over 79 miles per hour. So they're looking at about, I think the last forecast that I saw was 80 mile per hour winds with it. So just kind of a low Cat 1 hurricane here. But whether you're talking low Cat 1 hurricane or a very strong tropical storm, your impacts are going to be pretty much the same. Very heavy rain. You're going to have the strong winds. You're going to have some storm surge damage there where it makes landfall. So whether it stays a strong tropical storm or a low Category 1 hurricane, the damage is not much of a difference. If it starts to rapidly intensify, and right now there aren't any indications that is going to happen, but it's certainly a possibility. With these storms, we saw that with a couple of other storms earlier in the season where they did kind of intensify quickly once they develop. then we could be talking about something more severe. But right now, it looks like low category 1. At least that's the current forecast thinking.
Ken Boone with the Weather Channel. I'm looking at your website, at the Weather Channel website, and it says possible storm surge, flooding, rainfall, damaging winds, and maybe even tornadoes could be spawned by this storm.
Yeah, anytime you have a landfalling tropical system, storm surge, heavy rain, flooding, those are all concerns with the storm. And also, we typically get, spin-ups, and you get some tornadoes with these circulations as they move on shore. Now, typically that happens on the east side of the storm, so as long as the center circulation stays east of Shreveport, I don't know that we would potentially have a tornadic threat in the Shreveport area. But again, like I said, I want to stress that there's still a bit of uncertainty here. So we, until the storm actually becomes named, we get a little bit better idea of the track. There's still a kind of a wider range of solutions that could happen.
It's unceremoniously being named Tropical Cyclone 6, I think, right now.
Yes. Yes. Now, if it became a tropical storm, it would be named Francine.
Okay.
But right now, since it's the sixth storm of the season, that's why they're naming it post-tropical storm or post-tropical cyclone 6, and that's really what's holding it back right now is there's just not a well-defined center with the storm.
4 to 8 inches of rain, local amounts up to 12 inches in some parts of the state that already got drenched last week. How are we going to hold up in South Louisiana if we get, 12 inches more rain?
Yeah, flooding is definitely going to be a big concern with this storm, like you mentioned, with all the rain that we got last week. And, yes, certainly some localized amounts of rain with this storm because there'll be a lot of moisture out ahead of it. So we'll get a lot of showers and storms out ahead of the circulation, even more when it comes on shore. So definitely some flooding will be a very big concern there along the southern Louisiana coast if it does, in fact, make landfall there.
And when could Shreveport feel the remnants of this? I mean, if we get some showers or some winds, it looks like Thursday or Friday, right?
Possibly as early, like I said, depending on the track. The current forecast thinking with the track, I think we'll begin to see some showers and storms in and around the area on Wednesday with some of the outer bands. Possibly as early as late Tuesday night, again, if it gets more of a westward track. But right now, the current thinking is Wednesday. Probably the worst would be late Wednesday into Wednesday night, early Thursday morning.
Ken Boone with the Weather Channel. Thank you, Ken. We'll stay on top of it. We'll be back in touch.
All right. Have a good day.
You too, sir. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty.
Back with more of Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
It's interesting I was thinking, of course, the newspaper industry is all but gone, dead.
Mm-hmm.
We get the Epoch Times at the house. It's delivered once a week, I think, maybe.
Okay.
But I got to thinking when I did get the local paper. And my wife held on a long time, longer than even I wanted to. But I only got it because of the crossword,
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
Everything in it was 2 days old.
Right, right.
You couldn't open the sports page and check out your favorite team anymore because it was, it was 2 or 3 days old.
And it was national coverage typically.
Mostly national coverage.
Yeah.
And so things that that have changed, that somebody say under maybe even 40, but under 35, political cartoons.
Oh, yeah.
Think about that. Mm-hmm. Remember the political cartoons?
Oh, they were hilarious. The
back
Far
in the
Side,
day?
yeah.
No, I mean the political cartoon, the one panel.
Oh, yes,
that would,
I got you.
Take a jab at one side
one
or
candidate,
another.
yes.
Those are gone.
They are, aren't they?
I mean, they're pretty much where would they be published? Because those were print media.
Yeah, you might see them in some of those satirical sites that are online somewhere.
Right,
you have those in different places. I was asked about something. I was talking to somebody who was under 40 the other day. And she was like, have you seen that on TikTok? That is just amazing.
No.
And I went, no, I'm not going to put TikTok on my phone.
Thank you.
But I would love to see it. It sounded interesting. It sounded like an interesting. I said, can I find it somewhere else? And she goes, it may be on YouTube. I don't know. I talked to another person the other day that was having a problem with his pickup truck, and I said, you can look on YouTube and you can find out how to fix that.
Right.
It's easy. It's everywhere.
Okay, the LSU game, Saturday night. Mm-hmm. The LSU game. Normally, you'd turn on your TV on Saturday night.
Yep.
On one of the three, and there's the game.
Yep.
Now, I have YouTube TV, and I'm scrolling. I'm like, crap. I said, I'm going to let the game go for a few minutes, and that way I can skim through, and I'll pick it up. I'll start it from the beginning. I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
And so I'm texting my buddy, and where in the hell's the game? Where's the game?
Yes, people were freaking out.
Well, you had to have ESPN Plus.
Yep.
And they were running it on the SEC network, but you had to have ESPN Plus, which thank goodness I did. But it's like, the times are, oh my gosh.
I found it on regular YouTube, believe it or not.
Yes, there's a channel that hijacks it.
Yeah,
I heard that too.
There was. Yeah, there was.
101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Ruben, can you just play back my intro that I did a minute ago for Scott?
We're going to carry the presidential debate, by the way, tomorrow night, brought to you by Jimmy Garge. Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate you sponsoring it.
Yeah, live. If you can't get to a television, turn on your radio or the KEEL News app.
Absolutely. 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Kamala Harris, Donald Trump. It's a biggie. It's going to probably be their only debate. What do you think? Only debate, probably?
Oh, I am. Yeah, I think so.
Scott Hughes is joining us on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker Hotline. Scott, first and only between these two, you think?
Good morning. Yes, I do think this will be the one and only debate that we see between the presidential candidates. I think we will likely see a debate between the vice presidential candidates, and those may be the only two.
Obviously, Donald Trump had huge success in his debate with Joe Biden. He was very well coached, and he listened to his coaching. He appeared presidential. He seemed to stay on topic. He seemed to stay with the issues. Do you think he'll do the same with this debate?
Well, I think if you're a fan of the former president, you hope that he does those things. I'm not really sure he did all those things the last debate as much as Joe Biden just imploded. I think it was interesting. I watched the first debate, and what I saw was Donald Trump as curious as the rest of us as to why Joe Biden wasn't even responding in many cases. But I do think you're correct, Mike. I think you summed up, if I were on the vice president, or the former president's side, that's exactly what he needs to do. He needs to stand there and look presidential. He needs to not get upset. He needs to not air grievances, and he needs to try to stay on what we say are the policy issues. All the polling shows that he is ahead in what's the key major issues, primarily inflation and security. That's where he wins. When he gets off those topics, he tends to run into trouble.
Scott, what's interesting to me also is I saw a report. Most people aren't like, us and the listeners of this program. They have no clue. They are not aware of Kamala's far, far left radical policies.
Well, and I think starting out by saying far, far left radical policies is unfair. I think as a journalist, as moderators, as people watching a debate, I think we need to see what she says. I think that she has taken some positions in the past. That's fair. But it would be just as likely to say he is a victim of far, far right policies. The 2025, which I think if you're not familiar with Project 2025, she'll try to hang that on him. They're each going to try to position the other exactly as you just said, Mike. She's going to try to say he's far, far right. He's a fascist. You should be scared. He's going to try to say she is a far left San Francisco liberal. You should be scared. They're each trying to scare people about the other person. And I think what's interesting is both candidates, actually, if you listen to what they're saying, both are moderating towards the middle. Both are trying to find common ground. Even former President Trump is trying to move toward the middle on some of his positions, such as abortion, tax policy, some of these things. He's trying to move to the middle because they both know what needs to happen. They both need to get out of their base. They have their base. She has the left, he has the right. They're both trying to find those people in the middle. And at this point, it may only be about 10% of Americans who are undecided. And that's what they're fighting over, those votes in the middle. They're trying to define each other. He has been unsuccessful so far defining her. Even though he's called her a far left liberal, it's not really sticking. And she has really no one's really been able to define Trump beyond where he is.
But Scott, even you have to admit, you look at her career, and over her career, she supports the Green New Deal. She supports open borders. She supports soft on crime policies. And now, all of a sudden, she wants to build the wall, and she wants to be tough on crime, and now she wants to fund the police. She's flipped on absolutely every policy that she's previously supported. So how can you believe anything she says?
Well, I think that's a dangerous territory to get into, Mike. I didn't come here to defend one candidate or the other, but that's really a talking point from the Trump campaign. I'm not going to go through her campaign. I think that's the job of each candidate on Tuesday night to define the other candidate and to call them out. If they say something, then they should be called out for it. I think that both candidates are going to be very cautious in what they say because it's going to really be a cross-examination. The interesting part will be the mics will be turned off. So when you're speaking, you're speaking. You can't interrupt the other speaker. So that means when you do have the live mic, not only will you have to answer the question, but you'll be having to do your own fact-checking. And I think both of them will want to be fact-checking the other side. And that's something that we're going to be watching for because they're each trying to frame the other candidate. And I think what you said is exactly how he wants to frame her. And she's going to frame him in a way that she's been trying to frame him as well. And I think from a debate standpoint, that's what we're watching. Who comes out having framed the other candidate the most effectively, particularly as it affects any undecideds who are left. I think one of the challenges that the former president has is that he is well known. He's done this now for 8 to 10 years, depending on the timeline you want to look at. And most folks have an opinion of him, whether it's positive or negative. She still has room to grow. Polls are showing there's still about 20% of people, 28% of people, the latest poll I just saw, who still want more information on her. Interestingly, very few people want more information on Donald Trump. They know what he is in their minds. It's her that is still sort of a blank page, and that's where they're both going to try to define her. She wants to define herself. Mm-hmm. He wants to define her.
What are the issues, Scott Hughes, that you specifically want to see them answer? I want to hear tax policy, economy, things that impact me and my family's budget. What are some things that you're watching for?
I think it's going to be interesting. I think tax policy is one of them. So far, they've both been throwing out sound bites, and I'm not going to get into the sound bites or defend the sound bites. We'll watch Tuesday for that. But they've both been throwing out sound bites of tax policy, but no one's been discussing what the impact of those policies are, whether that is cutting taxes and putting in tariffs. Those have financial impacts, and those need to be explained because good sound bites sound nice until you realize what they actually do. I think the other thing we're looking at is and Mike got into a good area, what is her position on these things? Because both have flopped policies. We could go up and down the board on policies that they have changed. And so where are they today? What will they commit to? And I think that's really what we're watching for is how they define themselves in these critical issues. And I think in the end, you're going to see this come back around to really two issues. One's going to be security. Who do you feel safer with? And one's going to be the economy, because that's what the public says. Regardless of all the other issues, the public keeps coming back to pocketbook issues. Is my family safe? Is my family secure financially?
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Thank you, Scott.
Anytime.
Mm-hmm. We'll look forward to it
Tuesday night.
Yes.
Thank you, Scott. We appreciate your input. 1017. By the way, coming up on Thursday after the debate, we're going to have
Wednesday.
That's right. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
It's tomorrow.
You bet.
The debate will be tomorrow, and on Wednesday we're going to have Cedric Glover in studio, along with Louis R. Avalone from American Ground Radio.
8 o'clock hour, absolutely.
And we'll hash out who did what, who came out on top.
You bet.
101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty.
Get back to the show with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Can y'all indulge me again one more time, please?
No. Okay, so I was thinking, what am I going to say, right? What am I going to say?
I know. It's a big week. We got a big week. Tomorrow, the debate right here on KEEL. Tomorrow night, beginning at 8.
Tomorrow.
It's brought to you by Jimmy Granger, and 8 until at least 10 o'clock.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Fox will be running that, and it's going to be big. A lot of people watching. Of course, Wednesday, we will have Mayor Tom Arsenault for a full hour, 7 to 8 a.m.
His monthly town hall.
No holes barred. Ruben gets to answer the phones, which he loves. Love it, don't you?
Absolutely love it.
We'll
Ruben,
get questions
you're in
on
talk radio, Ruben.
questions on the message board. You can start sending those now for the mayor if you don't have our
board
message
is fantastic.
Yeah, Ruben loves the message board. And then also
download the KEEL app, by the way. It's
easy to do.
Free. It's easy to do. Look up 710 KEEL in your app store.
Right.
And that's how you connect with us. And a lot of times we'll read those on the air.
Now, we don't want, the mayor, we don't want questions about why you need to get the pothole in front of your house fixed.
Right.
We want things that are general, for the whole community. So please limit it to that. And, if you have a specific pothole, you can put it in there and I'll tell him about it. But, general questions. And also Wednesday from 8 to 9, Louis R. Avalone from American Ground and former mayor and former state rep Cedric Glover, they will analyze the debate. They're both going to be watching it tomorrow night, and then we'll hear from both of them. They're obviously on opposite sides, so we will listen to that. The other thing I need to update you on this morning is Doggate. Because
Poor Bo.
Bogate, yeah. Got Bo a brand new orthopedic dog pillow bed. Put it in his crate where he sleeps because I got all the scungy blankets out because they were getting scungy. And Bo wouldn't go on the orthopedic blanket, the orthopedic bed. He just wouldn't go in there. So I talked to his daddy, my son. I said, Bo won't go in there. He said, put a toy or put something that smells like me or you in there, and then put his treats in there, and he'll go in. So I did. I switched it up, and Bo started going in there. Then Sunday morning, the little dastardly critter, I go in there to go let him out to go do his business, funny. And he had chewed up the cover of the new orthopedic dog bed.
Wow.
The whole middle section of it, you can see the white mattress part of it.
He didn't like it.
Did he chewed it or did he scratch?
I don't know which he did. I wanted to kill him.
It wasn't scungy enough for him. He missed the scungy.
He wanted it chewed up in little bits, I guess. And I looked at him like, what on earth is wrong with you? And he looked up at me like, this was fun. I had fun.
We've got a huge dog bed that lays in front of the window. Our windows in our house go to the floor in the front of the house. Our house was built in the 40s, and it's so cool. But the dogs will lay there, Well, my Basset Hound, when I had Opie, he would scratch on that thing and then he'd turn around 15 times and then scratch some more. So maybe Bo was just trying to
get his own scent on it. I don't know. Maybe he didn't like the scent it had. Somebody explained to me on the Shreveport Security Systems message, why did he tear up a perfectly good orthopedic bed that was brand new?
My question is, why did you buy an orthopedic bed for your dog?
Well, I wanted him to be special.
Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A-plus rated with the Better Business Bureau, they'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-953-1788. 800-953-1788. 800-953-1788.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
I'm Aaron McCarty. Here's your KEEL News. The Caddo School Board meets in executive session on Wednesday to interview Keith Burton for the superintendent's post. He's the only candidate the board has agreed to interview. No word whether or not he could be offered the job after this meeting. We asked Reg Abrams if Burton could ask that it be open.
He has an option to say, I want it to be in an open session. You see what I mean?
Gotcha. Okay.
That's the way the rule reads. It basically, the board could go in and say, I'm going to have it. You give notice that you're going to have a meeting and that meeting has potential of going into an executive session. And the person who you're going to talk with has the option of saying they want it to be an open.
Burton tells KEEL News he will do what the board wants, so that means the interview, likely on Wednesday, will be closed to the public. Based on projections from the National Hurricane Center, a hurricane could make landfall in southwest Louisiana during the middle of this week. Meteorologist Joe Ruo with the National Weather Service says an area of low pressure in the Bay of Campeche in the southern Gulf is expected to organize into a hurricane.
Right now, conditions do favor some strengthening and quite possibly up to a Category 1 at least hurricane as it makes landfall somewhere along the upper Texas to southern Louisiana coast.
The National Hurricane Center put out its first official forecast track on Sunday afternoon before the system even became a tropical depression. Term limits fight round 4.
A Bossier judge has heard arguments in the term limits case, but no decision has been made yet. The judge is being asked to decide if the Bossier City Council must put the issue on the ballot. The lawsuit was filed by Cassie Rogers, who testified that she wants the city to follow its charter and allow the public to vote in the upcoming election on whether to set term limits for elected officials. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Reuben Wright.
Wednesday is a day we all remember, September 11th. Bossier hosting its annual remembrance ceremony marking the anniversary on the deadly attacks. The event will be held at the Liberty Garden at the Bossier Municipal Complex Wednesday at 9. Now, the YMCA also offering you a chance to mark the day by getting on a stair climber and walking up the 1980 steps, which is the same number as the World Trade Center. This is to remember the first responders who lost their lives. The event is happening at the BHPY on Knight Street all day on Wednesday. The Louisiana Board of Ethics has declined Governor Jeff Landry's request to waive a $100 fine for filing his campaign finance report one day late. Landry's been at odds with the board for years. Now, this is not the first problem Landry faces. A few years ago, he was forced to pay a $2,500 fine when he filed a campaign finance report for his 2019 Attorney General race inaccurately. Now, that's the maximum penalty allowed. State law requires the Ethics Board to automatically fine candidates for major political offices $100 a day when they turn in campaign reports late. The impasse between DirecTV and Disney over a new carriage agreement has become more heated as it enters its second week. DirecTV has filed a complaint with the FCC accusing Disney of negotiating in bad faith. I'm Aaron McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
More breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
I told you we were watching LSU Saturday night, which, by the way, they had a little more trouble with Nicholls State than I would have been comfortable with. Of course, they pulled away and won the game handily, but Nicholls outran them.
More yards on the ground for Nicholls State than the LSU Tigers. If you'd have told me that a few weeks ago, I'd have said, you're crazy. I'll take that bet all day.
But, Aaron, we were sitting there, and from our house, especially if you're in the backyard, our house faces north. So the backyard faces south, which is toward Captain Shreve Lee Hedges Stadium.
Right.
And you can hear on Friday nights during football season, you can hear the bands.
Wow.
It's so cool. I love that.
That is awesome.
Love that sound. So but that's Friday night.
Yep.
High school football. So we're sitting there watching the LSU game, and obviously I didn't have it up real loud. And we could hear, and my wife looks at me and she goes, "Do you hear drums? Do you hear music?" I said, "I do." And it didn't sound like a car going by or somebody's house. So I muted the TV and I stepped out on the front porch, which faces north. Mm-hmm. And that's where it was coming from. And I'm like, well, wait, this is Saturday and Bird doesn't have a stadium. It can't be, it wasn't coming from behind, I could tell. And then it dawned on me. Centenary football.
Yes, Centenary football's back.
And we could hear the band. Mm-hmm. And then my next question, I said, does Centenary have a marching band?
Well, a friend of mine said her son plays in the Parkway band, and they were marching at the Centenary game.
Okay, because I thought maybe Bird, maybe Bird.
And there may have been others. I don't know. Yeah. I know the Parkway band was there. I don't know if there were other bands that were there, but Parkway's band did play, and I guess they'll rotate through some of the high school bands. It was a big deal. It was a sold-out stadium.
That's I love hearing that.
The first game ever in 70+ years.
Yes.
The field is beautiful. People packed the place. Cheerleaders. I mean, it was a real big football atmosphere. People were stoked.
Yeah, they've got the field. It's artificial turf. Mm-hmm. They've got, it's gorgeous.
It really is beautiful. And they have not this weekend, another home game, but I think the next weekend is their next home game.
Right.
And they're expecting it to be packed every weekend.
They're traveling to Seguin, Texas to take on Texas Lutheran on the 14th, back home facing Austin on the 21st.
And you know what? We really don't care if they win or lose. It's football.
I know.
It's back here.
College football in Shreveport.
Yes. That is so cool.
Former national champion Centenary Gents.
That is amazing. It really is amazing.
Former national champions.
Mm-hmm. Crazy.
Coming up, we do have some changing weather in our forecast. Ken Boone with the meteorologist with the Weather Channel joining us right after the break. 101.7 FM, 710keel.com.
Stories of the day with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 Keel.
Tropical storm moving up through parts of Texas and Louisiana. It looks to me like if you look at some of these models, it's going to be east of us, but we've got Ken Boone with the Weather Channel on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker hotline. Ken, good morning. Are we going to be out of the danger zone in the Shreveport-Bossier area?
Well, there's still a little bit of uncertainty. Really, the center of this system really hasn't defined yet. And so once we get that defined center, it gets upgraded to a tropical storm. We'll get a little bit more handle, or get a little bit more certainty with the forecast track. But you're right. The trend has been, the models are trending to keep it a little bit further towards the east, which would mean, yes, east of the Shreveport area. So right now, the thinking is it would be east, just kind of on the periphery edge to see some outer bands with some showers and storms that could move through. That's the current thinking now. But again, still a bit of uncertainty here because as it gets that better, well-defined center, we'll start to get a better idea of kind of more of a correct track with this system.
Landfall, Texas, Louisiana, halfway between the two. What are we looking at right now?
Right now, the thinking is more Louisiana than the upper Texas coast. But again, like I said, until it gets that well-defined center and we get a good grip on, exactly, the makeup of the storm, there's still a bit of a question there. So, I'd be concerned anywhere from the upper Texas coast all the way along the southern Louisiana coast. But the trend with the models has been to push it more further towards the east, so more of a Louisiana coastal landfall. But again, I want to stress there's still some uncertainty here. The storm has to develop. There's a trough moving in from the west that's going to kind of pick it up and kind of move it more north and northeasterly. That's going to happen during the day Tuesday. So all that has to come together before we get a really good idea of exactly where landfall would be.
And when are you expecting landfall? Is that going to middle of the week, Wednesday or so?
Yeah, it looks like late Wednesday, possibly even into early Thursday, depending on how far east, the storm. The further east the storm works, the later in the week the landfall would be. If it doesn't get more of a northeastward turn, if that trough doesn't pick it up and it's more of a westward landfall, it would be a little bit earlier, maybe earlier on, during the day on Wednesday. So that's kind of what we're looking. But right now, it looks like late Wednesday into early Thursday.
And it looks like it'll be a Cat 1 hurricane at that time, or could be. Is that what we're looking at so far?
That is true. Current forecast from the Hurricane Center does have it strengthening to a Cat 1 hurricane before it would make landfall.
And describe what a Cat 1 is.
Cat 1 is when your winds get over 79 miles per hour. So they're looking at about, I think the last forecast that I saw was 80 mile per hour winds with it. So just kind of a low Cat 1 hurricane here. But whether you're talking low Cat 1 hurricane or a very strong tropical storm, your impacts are going to be pretty much the same. Very heavy rain. You're going to have the strong winds. You're going to have some storm surge damage there where it makes landfall. So whether it stays a strong tropical storm or a low Category 1 hurricane, the damage is not much of a difference. If it starts to rapidly intensify, and right now there aren't any indications that is going to happen, but it's certainly a possibility. With these storms, we saw that with a couple of other storms earlier in the season where they did kind of intensify quickly once they develop. Then we could be talking about something more severe. But right now, it looks like low Category 1. At least that's the current forecast thinking.
Ken Boone with the Weather Channel. I'm looking at your website, at the Weather Channel website, and it says possible storm surge, flooding, rainfall, damaging winds, and maybe even tornadoes could be spawned by this storm.
Yeah, anytime you have a landfalling tropical system, storm surge, heavy rain, flooding, those are all concerns with the storm. And also we typically get, spin-ups, and you get some tornadoes with these circulations as they move on shore. Now, typically that happens on the east side of the storm. So as long as the center of circulation stays east of Shreveport, I don't know that we would potentially have a tornadic threat in the Shreveport area. But again, like I said, I want to stress that there's still a bit of uncertainty here. So we, until this storm actually becomes named, we get a little bit better idea of the track. There's still a kind of a wider range of solutions that could happen.
It's unceremoniously being named Tropical Cyclone 6, I think, right now.
Yes. Yes. Now, if it became a tropical storm, it would be named Francine.
Okay.
But right now, since it's the sixth storm of the season, that's why they're naming it post-tropical storm or post-tropical cyclone 6, and that's really what's holding it back right now is there's just not a well-defined center with the storm.
4 to 8 inches of rain, local amounts up to 12 inches in some parts of the state that already got drenched last week. How are we going to hold up in South Louisiana if we get, 12 inches more rain?
Yeah, flooding is definitely going to be a big concern with this storm, like you mentioned, with all the rain that we got last week. And yes, certainly some localized amounts of rain with this storm because there'll be a lot of moisture out ahead of it. So we'll get a lot of showers and storms out ahead of the circulation, even more when it comes on shore. So definitely some flooding will be a very big concern there along the southern Louisiana coast if it does, in fact, make landfall there.
And when could Shreveport feel the remnants of this? I mean, if we get some showers or some winds, it looks like Thursday or Friday, right?
Possibly as early, like I said, depending on the track. The current forecast thinking with the track, I think we'll begin to see some showers and storms in and around the area on Wednesday with some of the outer bands. Possibly as early as late Tuesday night, again, if it gets more of a westward track. But right now the current thinking is Wednesday. Probably the worst would be late Wednesday into Wednesday night, early Thursday morning.
Ken Boone with the Weather Channel. Thank you, Ken. We'll stay on top of it. We'll be back in touch.
All right. Have a good day.
You too, sir. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty.
Back with more of Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Now, I bring this up only not to say, oh, it's my birthday. I don't know. I only bring it up because apparently what the most common birthday in the U.S.
Oh, I would have no idea.
The most common, more people have their birthday on this date. What would you think it would be?
No clue.
And since I'm bringing it up,
it's got to be your date.
Today.
Today is it? Today,
September 9th.
You know what that is?
More people, well, if you go back 40 weeks.
It's New Year's Eve.
It's New or pre-holiday.
Oh, yeah.
People are
Bow, chicka, wow,
festive.
wow.
They're festive,
Yeah.
and they have more cheer and, quite frankly, probably more liquor.
So that's why today is the day.
There are actually 10 days. The top 10 fall between September 9th and September 20th. So my birthday ain't that special, quite frankly.
You're a commoner.
I'm common.
Yeah. Mine being in August, as I grew up and became a woman, and I thought, how do you carry babies in Louisiana in August?
I felt so sorry for my wife. My son was born August 21st. And like 2 weeks before that, we had to go to New Orleans because she had to take the state boards for nursing.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, at that time, I had never been to New Orleans.
Ooh.
This is 34, almost 40 years ago.
Yeah.
So I was excited. All right, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. And she's out there.
8.5 months pregnant.
Just sweat.
Oh.
And I feel bad to this day making her walk so much in New Orleans. But Casey could have been born in New Orleans if it,
Oh, yeah. If y'all had walked a little bit more.
She had to take the state boards. So, yeah. And now this I don't understand. September isn't the most common month to be born. How bizarre is that?
That is weird.
That's August.
Really?
Most common month is August.
So that's Christmas, holiday bound, chicka wow wow, right? That's Christmas time stuff. Yeah. Okay.
So,
interesting.
Yeah. So you're not you're common too.
Yeah, I get. Mine's weird though because I have 5 brothers total, but six. One died at day 4 after birth. But 3 of my brothers were born November and December.
Well,
3 of them late in the year.
You don't want to think about your parents.
Yeah, no, you don't. No, stop. Look at the clock. Oh, man.
101.7 FM, 7 KEEL.